Okay, well, I'm Andrea Simon, and I work for the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, and I'm here today to talk about our services. Just kind of a general background of the state capitol, because we thought it was pretty. But what is DVR? Because we go by that acronym quite a bit, the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. We're part of the Department of Workforce Development, so you'll also see DWD listed with us and part of our websites so that you can get to our services, just to let you know. But the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation is a federally funded state program. So we offer individualized services to eligible people with disabilities who want to work. We provide training and technical assistance to employers regarding disability employment issues. We are currently actively engaged actually with over 19,000 consumers, but any given time we have at least 18,000 who are working towards an employment goal with us. Let's see. Turn that off. Okay. Just double checking. And then we have our website on the bottom, but we'll have that at the end of the presentation. Our mission is find a job, keep a job, get a better job. We kind of rattle that off very quickly. We have a very formal one that we say to obtain, maintain, and improve employment for people with disabilities by working with vocational rehabilitation consumers, employers, and other partners is the official one. But what do we do to do that? We're kind of the largest single source of disability talent in the state. DVR provides employers with direct access to well-qualified pool of talent, and we like to advertise that out quite a bit for them to want to come looking for people to hire. We help consumers that come to us, that's what we call individuals that are looking for employment. We call them consumers here. We develop an individualized plan for employment, an IPE, that they work with a counselor. And then in that IPE, it defines what job goal they have, the services needed to reach that goal, and the job seeker's role and responsibilities are listed out. We also support individuals with disabilities by providing career planning, training assistance, and connection to Wisconsin businesses. In our consumer services, we have career counseling, labor market information that we go over. We work on skills development, could be soft skills and life skills training, could be occupational training, post-secondary education and training, apprenticeship-related training on the job. We can call them internships or work experiences. We can do different supports and coordination to address barriers to successful employment. Sometimes the barriers aren't disability related, such as sometimes it's figuring out what your transportation needs are. Sometimes it's if somebody has a criminal record, that's more of a barrier than their actual disability, depending on what kind of employment they're looking at. And we also do follow along services. Now, in workforce inclusion, just to give you some ideas of some data that's out there for people with disabilities, nationwide, the employment rate for people with disabilities ages, we're counting ages 18 to 64. So some, not the transition youth yet. Most people are part-time employment and in school before 18. So we're doing the adults, is only 41.3% for people with disabilities nationwide versus 77.7% for people without disabilities nationwide. In Wisconsin, we're among the top ranking states in the nation for employment with people with disabilities, and our statewide employment rate is 50.8% for people with disabilities. So we're slightly higher, but we still want to get to the 77.7% for people without disabilities. That's, our ultimate goal. And kind of a disability facts of prevalence. Individuals with disabilities represent the largest minority group in America at 70 million people. More than 1 in 4 adults, or 28% of the U.S. population, have a disability of some kind. In the U.S., 20 million families have at least one member with a disability. And then we have cited the sources below that. The DVR consumer information, we're back in 2024 for some of our data. DVR served 3,172 job seekers or consumers successfully to achieve their employment goals, and they closed what we consider successful in employment. So those that closed with us successful in their end goal was an average hourly wage of $16.40 an hour, and they work 25 hours a week. So this also includes people that are with supported employment and non-supported employment. This is all disabilities. And then the top 5 DVR job seeker job categories in hires were transportation and material moving, food prep and service, production, office and administrative support, building grounds, cleaning, and maintenance. That was all one category. Building grounds, cleaning, and maintenance is all one together. Now, DVR is divided into 11 different workforce development areas. People can apply anywhere and transfer within the state. I like them to know that. The problem is if they move out of state, we need to close, and you can apply at any voc rehab program anywhere in the US because every state has a voc rehab program. So if you end up relocating somewhere else out of state, let us know. We can Google search for you how they go in or what their website is. We can send you with copies of what disability documentation that we have. But if you're already in the state, we can just transfer. So if someone goes to the school for the blind and visually impaired, you can even open a file wherever you live in the state. You can transfer to us because I work down in the region where the school for the blind and visually impaired is, and then we can transfer people back even over summer. So that works very nicely. They're used to it at the school. Great partnership. And then some of our bigger job center locations we just wanted to mention. We also have all of our DVR directors located in those bigger cities. And then we have, it's kind of over the years tightened up. There aren't as many in-person offices going on. So we put those also on the state map. I'm down in the southern region. I'm actually currently covering the Janesville, Madison, Dodgeville, Richland Center, Baraboo, Portage, Beaver Dam, Jefferson. But I have worked over a little bit in the Milwaukee area and helped out up in Green Bay, up in Wausau. So it kind of, we've got lots of offices. It doesn't mean that you can't apply and do everything online if that works for you. And I'm going to have that website at the very end. We're partners in the job centers. And so what we have is the statewide network of job centers, the service provider network that we work with that helps us with job development. We partner with other DWD divisions and programs. So all of the workforce development boards we work with closely. That's how they kind of draw our lines and work with the voc rehab programs. So we are able to refer people to different programs like the dislocated worker, WIOA programs. Sometimes we have people that co-enroll with like FSET, W2, veterans. I'm trying to think of all of we have the WISE worker. They have different names for different programs in different areas of the state for some of it, but also people with AODA issues. There's other programs for that that they're coming out with. We can co-enroll. We have individuals that are aging out of the foster program. If they have a disability, they also might co-enroll with DVR. So you don't have to be just part of one of the job center agency or one program, and they might recommend, oh, you could get a benefit this way because we don't purchase cars for individuals. So there is a loan program through one of the other job center partners. And if you're employed, you can get help that direction. So that's why we would probably be recommending different programs to meet the needs that individuals have if we can't do it. We also work with the ADRC at all of the county levels, and the I call it IL, but Independent Living Center. I'm trying not to give acronyms so that you know what that is. And all of the schools, of course. So we also share out to businesses, and we have business service consultants that are all over the state that work for DVR. So we're trying to branch out to businesses and share that we are the premier source of skilled talent, because we have a lot of individuals that have a lot of work experience. We have individuals just starting out who are also perhaps going on to school, getting more training, and then getting a part-time job to start to build some work experience while they're going to school. So we have people at many different levels. So at any given time, DVR has approximately 6,500 candidates who are ready to work in a full spectrum of employment and industry sectors in Wisconsin. We're committed to success of our employer partners and the individuals we serve. So if somebody's supported employment, we're still going in until we transition to long-term support. We do short-term skill instruction as well to get people started on jobs if they're not supported employment. And we also have some other programs around the state. I don't know if people are real familiar, but this is a transition program, so I like to highlight it because it's kind of near and dear to my heart. It's Project Search, and in Janesville specifically, we have Mercy Health has a Project Search site. We also have UW-Platteville out here, and we also have the Madison University Hospital has a combined with the Veterans Hospital, pretty close, and then there's one at Kalahari. And because I'm covering a couple areas right now. But Project Search is a 9 to 12 month transition program. So providing training and education for young adults with disabilities age 18 to 24. What they do is typically it's a full school year. So they start in fall, end in spring. It's 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. The interns report to the host business to learn employability skills in the classroom also. And they have a classroom on site at the business. The business is a partner, a school district or a CISA is a partner, and DVR is a partner. And what we do is braid funding, in that the business is donating the space to have a classroom, and then they're offering rotations in their different departments. They're a business typically of over 250 employees or more. More like 600 plus, because we need a lot of rotations. We're putting in somewhere between 6 to 12 interns a year. We have one full-time teacher that is licensed by DPI for special education, and they do curriculum at the beginning of the day. The intern goes out into a rotation, stays and has their breaks and lunch on the rotation with their coworkers. So they're learning with a site supervisor. DVR funds a skills trainer that is coming through to train them on those rotations, but they don't have 100% job coaching. They're with their coworkers. They're getting some hands-on learning, and they come back at the end of the day and have some more instruction with the teacher and decompress to figure out how that went. The school or the school district or the CISA that funds the teacher, that is where the school district the person comes from, or their long-term support provider, if they're out of school, funds that portion of it. DVR funds the skills trainer and then does job coaching and job placement after they leave and graduate the program, because we want employment is the goal of Project Search, but it gives you a whole 9 to 10 months to learn a job and have 3 rotations, because they do 3 different rotations, so 3 different places at that larger business that they get to try hands-on work. DVR also gives a slight stipend during that so that they are not without any, we call it petty cash, so that they can buy all of their beverages and snacks while they're there. But DVR provides uniforms if necessary, and the employer with the classroom that's quite a big donation that they're giving us, that they're putting in, but their HR department is also involved. And Project Search, since it started in 2008, over 1,800 Wisconsin residents have done it. We currently have 29 sites. For such a small state, that's a lot of sites. We have more than Texas, to give you an idea. And we do it in a variety of industries. Project Search started with Cincinnati Children's Hospital. It's a registered trademark program, and it is international. So that's why we mention it. That is kind of interesting that way. And we have post-graduation employment rate is 80%, over 80% currently. Some of the, and I'll put this in quotes, failures could be if people go on to school after Project Search, meaning they decide to do secondary education after they graduate from Project Search. The idea, the goal for Project Search and how it was designed when we signed on to doing this program was that people come out wanting a job and doing something different than they had done before, building their skill set to do a higher level position. So it's kind of a unique program. We also have some other programs along the way, but I thought I'd highlight one that is offered statewide. And then we have the business services consultants that are meeting with businesses around the state, and one in every local area. They're talking to employers about hiring incentives, labor market information, how's recruitment going. They assist the job centers with job fairs. They do customized recruitment events if needed. They're looking at labor pool, making assessments, direct recruitments. We also work with them on Quick Trip, the retail helper program that's specialized just to Quick Trip. So that's kind of training services, customized training, on the job training. We've done some other partnerships with like Walgreens Ready we've done through the years when that's been helpful or needed. We've done SSM Health had done some, I'd call it routine job shadows they were offering so they could explain all the different kind of openings and what was required. They did quite a bit for us by bringing in their maintenance and ground systems that they hire out for. So they even brought that in because we had some interest in that area, as well as all the medical things, because people don't understand what it takes to bring up a hospital. It's almost like a small village at times. So that's more than just dealing with the typical medical jobs that you would think. And to kind of give you an idea, a consumer success story, a consumer came to DVR with mobility issues due to right and left below the knee amputations. DVR helped him obtain a new prosthetic legs, provided job development services to help him expand his customer base. Consumer's business rapidly picked up, and he's now makes over an average of $27.40 an hour, working 30 hours per week as a self-employed real estate appraiser, because he had a skill set, but with the mobility issues, needed some help to use it as employment. And consumer told DVR, "You gave me my life back." It's pretty profound. Another story, consumer came to DVR looking to return to nursing work after more than a decade-long absence due to an injury. DVR helped her find employment that worked for her limitations. She now works 36 hours per week as a registered nurse, making 24 plus an hour. We all know registered nurses is a wide range. The consumer is able to adapt to modern record-keeping practices. Being out of the workforce for 10 years, they weren't as great with computers as they needed to be, and telling DVR that her job is so much fun and that she's happy to be back in the work within the nursing field. So just a couple examples, nothing wild. And just giving some statewide resources. If anyone's looking for the 211 United Way, we have local chambers of commerce, county economic development corporations, independent living centers. A great resource that isn't shared out enough is askjan.org. If you have a question on an accommodation, askjan.org is your place. And then also askearn.org is a good resource. And then your area business services consultants can also give some more local resources if you want to touch base with other things that aren't listed here. But sometimes where people are doing some, I would say, job exploration, kicking around ideas, we're always looking for jobs that exist in the area if you don't want to move. And if you want to move, that's a different thing. But sometimes it's hard with labor markets, what we want to do and what exists, working between those. And these are great resources. And then I put what the websites were so you can reach out to the JAN Job Accommodation Network. Great Lakes ADA Center is also something to think about, that they help this 5-state region. I do have the DVR referrals. I'll put that on another slide that's bigger. And then our independent living centers sadly work on a different map than DVR, but they also can be resources for other things you might need along the way. And check that out because they cover different counties, and it matters with them for which county you live in, by which independent living center can work with you. So I like to mention that to help people out. And then my contact information and how to apply online. The biggest thing for DVR, and when you go to this referral site, is that it goes straight to a video. You can watch more about services. It also has links for employers if employers want to look at it. But we have, this one takes you in for a referral and would send you to the county closest to where you are, and they will reach out and get you started in the process. We take people as young as age 14. We suggest about 2 years before you're going to graduate from high school, whenever that might be, is prime. Please by then be applying, definitely. And yes, we do contact you every month and keep talking to you. And we keep talking about employment because we're all about employment, but that might be you go straight out into employment, wanting some part-time work. It might be that you want a long term goal where you want to go into secondary education and explore training. So lots of options. Were there any questions in chat?
There's no questions as of now. Does anyone have questions you'd like to put in chat, or you'd like to unmute and ask?
If nobody else has questions, I have a couple questions. Thank you, Andrea.
Okay.
No other questions?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Go for it.
So if somebody transfers to a different state, do they need to completely reapply, or is their records transferred?
Nothing's transferred. You have to take it. That's why we make copies for people if they want it, or send them an electronic copy of their documented disability, because if they go to another state, they have to apply on their separately. Every state is its own VR agency.
Okay.
There is also tribal VR too. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah. What advice would you give to high school students if they don't really have any ideas of what type of work they would like to do? What advice would you give them, like to maybe be a little bit more prepared and kind of come into DVR with a little bit better knowledge?
Sometimes it's better knowing what you don't like to do than knowing, and then you're more open to ideas of what the labor market might have available for you. Sometimes just getting started to get a starter job because you want money isn't such a bad idea to start with.
Yeah.
I like to know just what they they really dislike, say they really dislike cleaning, that's a good place to start. Then you know cleaning is not a place to go. Or they like cleaning, so that's great to know too. But everybody starts with entry-level jobs. All of us started at an entry-level job while we were in high school, or while we're looking into college ideas, or possibly in college, just to get some spending money. So sometimes the first entry-level jobs aren't the ideal jobs, but it's a place to get started. That's where everybody with a disability or without a disability starts there.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people really find their niche first off, and that's great. But that's kind of a small miracle that happened. Most
Yeah.
people, it's trial and error at sometimes, and just knowing what doesn't really work. If it's too noisy, if that's too much. Some people really like to work with customers. Some people really want to avoid them. Some people really don't know. And so we might do some job shadows to figure out what jobs you like, don't like. Sometimes the job people take is because it's the easiest to get to. It works in their schedule the best.
Right.
That's a lot of entry-level jobs. They're not the great job. They're the let's get started somewhere, get some experience. And then you can take that experience and know what you liked about it and what you don't like about it to move on to the next job.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you don't have to be unemployed to work with us. So if you're looking to upskill, you can be employed and apply with DVR and want to do something else. So you don't have to like quit your job so you can apply for DVR. You can. I've had a few people in the past do that, and because they didn't realize that you could be employed and still work with us.
And then could you talk a little bit about the trial work experiences?
We have a couple variations of that. We typically look for employers to first hire people, ideally, if they would do a direct hire. But if they're not, and we're looking at getting somebody into a job, we see if they'll do an on-the-job training. We call it, we have youth on-the-job trainings, which can be up to 500 hours, I believe. I'd have to look that up to double check. And that can roll into a youth apprenticeship. So we like to see if that's possible. And if they're not willing to do where they hire the person on and we do a reimbursement to the employer, then we look at doing a trial work experience. Most of them are about 45 days to see how that would work and see if they'd hire them on, but we can go anywhere from 10 days just to give people a flavor if job shadow isn't enough, up to 90 days with that. But the idea with the trial work experience, if they're doing well, is that the employer hires them on afterwards. We're not looking for just temporary jobs endlessly. Our idea is a permanent job at the end. So we don't do endless temporary work experiences. We want people, that's more of a job shadow. Check it out with a job shadow, see if you like what you like about that job. You don't have to commit to it. It's a once and done checking it out. But if we're looking at a trial work experience, we're looking for hopefully the employer will hire them on after they do that. That's the intent.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
There's nothing in the chat.
Okay. Well, thank you, Andrea. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Hopefully we get some referrals. Like to
Yeah,
see people.
right.
So thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thanks.